All right, let's do this. Welcome to your last-minute, everything you need to know final review for R programming. If you're cramming or just want that final boost of confidence, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to hit the ground running.
So, is that exam starting to feel a little stressful? Yeah, I get it. It's completely normal. But seriously, no sweat. We're going to walk through everything, step by step, and make sure it all makes sense.
I promise you, by the end of this, you'll have a solid grip on the key concepts, the syntax you absolutely have to remember, and the little tricks that make a huge difference. So, let's dive right in.
Okay, first up, Unit 1. Let's call this the building blocks. You can't write a novel without knowing the alphabet, right? Same idea here. We're starting with the absolute basics, variables, data types, and how we actually store our data.
So what even is R? Honestly, the easiest way to think about it is like a super-powered calculator that's built for handling data, doing stats, and making some really impressive-looking graphs. It's the go-to language for data science.
And at its heart, it's super simple. You can literally just type in math problems, hit enter, and R gives you the answer. It also comes with a ton of built-in functions for things that are a little more complex, like sqrt for finding a square root. Easy enough, right?
But you don't want to be typing the same numbers over and over again. That's where variables come in. Just think of them as little labeled boxes where you can store information. Now, this little arrow thing, CrashCourseR, this is the assignment operator. It's the official R way of saying, put the number 10 into the box named X. This little arrow, you have to know this for the exam. It's fundamental.
So, what can we put in these boxes? Well, R has a few main data types. You've got numeric for any number, especially those with decimals. You have integer for whole numbers, and pay attention to that capital L at the end. That's how R knows it's an integer. Then there's character for any kind of text inside quotes, and logical, which is just plain old true or false.
Now, what if you have a whole list of numbers? You use a vector. This is probably the most common data structure you'll see. It's a collection of items, but, and this is a huge exam point, every single item has to be the same data type. You make them using the C function, which just stands for combine. Trust me, vectors are everywhere in R.
Of course, there are other ways to organize your data. Lists are cool because they're flexible and can hold different data types all mixed together. A matrix is just a two-dimensional grid, like in math class, but again, everything has to be the same type. But the real superstar, the one you absolutely need to know, is the data frame. If you get a question on the exam and it looks anything like a table or a spreadsheet, your brain should immediately scream, data frame.
Okay, so we've got our data stored. Now what? Let's get into Unit 2, which is all about making R actually do stuff. We're going to talk about controlling the flow, how to make decisions, and how to repeat actions without writing the same code 100 times.
The most basic way to make a decision in your code is with an if-else statement. The logic is dead simple. If some condition is true, then do this one thing. Else, if it's not true, do this other thing. So, if our variable x is bigger than 5, we print greater. Otherwise, we print smaller. This is how you make your code smart.
And what if you want to do the same thing to every single item in your vector? You are not going to copy and paste the code. No way. You use a loop. A for loop is your best friend for this. The syntax basically says, for every single item that you find in my vector, I want you to do the action inside these curly braces. It's the key to automation.
Now, as your programs get bigger, you'll find you're doing the same set of steps over and over. Instead of rewriting it, you package that code into a function. It's just a named chunk of code that does one specific job. You give it some inputs, it works its magic, and it returns a result. It's all about being efficient.
Okay, let's talk about something that sounds a little tricky, but is actually pretty cool. Recursion. This is simply when a function calls itself from within its own code. Now, the most important thing here, and I mean the single most important thing, is that you must have a base case. That's a condition that tells the function when to stop calling itself. If you forget the base case, you get an infinite loop and your program crashes. So, don't forget it.
All right, take a deep breath. We've gone through the main concepts. Now it's time for the ultimate exam boost. Think of this as the rapid-fire, gotta-know-it cheat sheet that's going to help you grab those extra points for a high score. First things first, the golden rule of R. If there is one thing you burn into your brain, it's this. Everything in R is an object. That variable, it's an object. That data frame, it's an object. Even a function is an object. This is a powerful idea because it means you can work with and manipulate just about anything in your code.
Okay, here are some facts that could easily be trick questions. 1. R is vectorized. That just means you can do math on a whole vector at once without a loop. 2. This is a big one. Indexing starts at 1. The first item is at position 1, not 0 like in a lot of other languages. 3. In your practicals, use the hash symbol, hash, to write comments and explain what you're doing. And 4. Always use that little arrow, k, for assignment. It's just proper R style.
And here's a super quick cheat sheet for how to create the main data structures. You got C for vectors, list for lists, matrix for matrices, and data.frame for, well, data frames. You absolutely have to know these. Might be a good idea to screenshot this one.
And please, don't try to reinvent the wheel. R has amazing built-in functions for common tasks. Use sum to add things up, mean for the average, length to see how many items you have. But here's the pro tip. STR, it stands for structure. Anytime you're confused about a variable or data frame, just type str with the variable name inside, and it will tell you exactly what it is. It's your absolute best friend when you're debugging code.
Okay, we are on the home stretch now. Just a few final tips and tricks to make sure you walk into that exam feeling totally prepared and confident. Seriously, you've got this.
For the practical part of your exam, you can probably expect some classic problems. They'll want to see if you can use a loop and an if statement to check for something like a prime number. You will almost definitely be asked to create a data frame, maybe for employees or products, and you'll need to know how to do basic operations on vectors and matrices. These aren't random. They're designed to test if you really understand the core concepts we just covered.
And that's it. We've covered the building blocks, how to control the flow of your program, and the key facts that will make a difference on the exam. All the tools are right here. Review this, practice a little bit, get some sleep, and you're going to be fine. Now go ace that exam.